I want you to picture the ceiling first glass and bright and harmless, the kind of sunlight that makes polished tile look like water, because that's where this started, me standing at Nordstrom in Westfield Mall with one simple plan in my head. Buy a good leather handbag for my daughter's law school graduation. Pay, go home, make pasta, sleep. No drama, no speeches. Just a quiet gift from a tired mom who had finished a long week of cases and wanted to do something kind. And then 2 mall cops decided my skin was a crime and they said thief, like it tasted good to say it. And by the time anyone took a breath, the cameras were up, and the room wasn't harmless anymore. And 3 days later, those same men would learn my name in a place where every word is recorded because I would be the one reading their charges back to them. Yeah, that happened. I'm Vivian navy blazer, dark jeans flats that don't squeak hair back so I can think fingers running the stitching of a Breyer & Co. tote, because bad stitching lies and good stitching lasts. I check a zipper, check the lining, check the price online, because I was raised by a woman who taught me that a discount is not greed, it's wisdom. I lift my phone, snap a photo of the tag to compare models, later. Nothing wild, nothing sneaky, just how I shop. And in the reflection of the jewelry case, I catch them. Ethan Bradley, 30, something with a body like a bronze door, and eyes like he's looking for a fight to stand in. And Noah Simmons, younger, nervy, eager boy, energy, a little too proud of his radio, both of them posted up like a movie trying to look casual, while the casual has already left their bodies, you know what I mean? I drift to scarves, a velvet purple that would glow against my daughter's skin, then back to wallets, then handbags again, because cautious people loop, we compare, we circle, we take our time. And while I move, I notice things. Trained, eyes always notice the teenager palming a lip gloss, the older man slipping a keychain into his pocket like he's trying to hide from himself, the exhausted mother who tucks a baby onesie into the stroller basket with a look that says, rent is due, and the baby keeps growing, and still Ethan and Noah don't see any of them. They see me, and only me, like their story has already been written, and all they have to do is hit record on the version where I'm the villain, and they're the heroes with side badges that shine. Ethan finally breaks the silence like he's breaking a case. Ma'am, mall security, we need a word, stepping into my path with chest-first authority. Noah sliding in on my right like a human comma hand near the radio. Chin up, and I turn all the way to face them, because I've learned in courtrooms and grocery lines that your posture can do half the talking. Keep your voice level, and the record will keep you safe more than your temper will. At least that's the hope. Of course I say, because that's still who I am. What seems to be the problem? And Ethan launches into a list he must have practiced in the bathroom mirror. Suspicious patterns handling multiple items moving quickly. Taking photos of security features. A performance so stiff I almost look for the teleprompter. People slow down around us. Air tightens a woman with a phone, hesitates, then hits record with the focus of someone who's done this before. Later I'll learn her name is Margaret Chen, and she knows how to hold a camera steady even when her heart is loud, which matters more than people understand. I offer the bridge because I always start with the bridge. You're welcome to look through my bag, I say, lifting the tote I came in with. I haven't bought anything, I haven't taken anything, and if this were a normal afternoon, that would be the whole story. A quick peek at keys and a paperback with a cracked spine and a receipts pouch and a granola bar, an apology, a nod, a quiet walk to the register or the door. Instead, Ethan smiles the way a man smiles when he thinks he caught a fox. We'll need more than a bag check. We'll conduct a full search. And I ask the question I already know the answer to. By who? And he answers the way you hope he won't. By us. Like the rules are a buffet, and he's hungry. There's a stillness I learned the hard way. A courtroom stillness. The one you put on like a coat when the room is drifting towards stupid. No, I say, calm as a bell. You can check my bag to clear up your misunderstanding. You cannot put hands on me that isn't within your authority, and it isn't within the law. And some heads turn because the word law lands heavy, even when you say it soft. Margaret's camera stays up, and in that lens, I feel the math changing. Ethan raises his voice, like volume creates jurisdiction. Lady, cooperate or we call the cops, and I say, please do not, because I want sirens in my afternoon, because sunlight handles fog better than arguing under it. That's when David Kim arrives, the store manager, clean blazer, name badge, the steady energy of someone who's put out 100 small fires without ever raising his voice. What's the situation? He asks, eyes on me, but words to Ethan. And Ethan gives him that mirror speech again. 30 minutes, casing tag photos, refusing protocol. And David, bless him, doesn't play uniforms, he plays facts. Did anyone observe concealment? he asks, and Ethan answers with vibes. Patterns consistent with theft. And David says the line that should be printed on training manuals. Patterns aren't evidence, turns to me with the kind of respect that makes your shoulders drop an inch. Ma'am, would you consent to a bag check so we can put this to bed? And I say yes, hand it over, step back, we all look in keys, book receipts, granola bar. Nothing from Nordstrom, nothing from Breyer & Co., nothing but air where Ethan's story wanted a prize. It could have ended there, it should have, but pride wouldn't let Ethan share oxygen with an ending that didn't make him the lead. You could see it on his jaw, that little jump that says the truth, just lost to ego by technical knockout. She ditched it. He snaps accomplice, grabbed the goods, and David's patience thins to a wire. Trent, that's enough, he says. And for a second I almost laugh because Trent is not his name, but it fits the posture, and Ethan tries the last defense of a man who doesn't want to stand down. With respect, Mr. Kim security is my lane, and David replies with the one sentence that belongs on coffee mugs. Not when you're driving off the road, then adds the part that changes the weather. Consider yourself relieved for today, and the crowd hears that and exhales, and Margaret's live stream number creeps up. You can feel the ordinary afternoon swelling like a river after rain. Noah goes a little gray, leans in and whispers the first true thing he said since he walked over. Maybe we should just... And Ethan says the word that tells you exactly who he is right now. Don't. And then loud for the phones. We're not backing down from a thief, and that word thief slaps the room. Not because I haven't been called worse by better poets, because he wanted the word to do the hurting for him. Sirens wash the glass with the first hint of red and blue. Sergeant Tom Walsh and Officer Jennifer Park step in. You can tell a lot from the way people walk into a mess. Walsh has the tired, careful of a man who's seen too many bad decisions with name tags. Park has a notebook and eyes that measure twice before they cut. What do we have? Walsh asks without taking anyone's bait. Ethan gives his mirrors. Park asks David. Did anyone see concealment? David says no. Park checks my bag with brisk respect and needs less than a minute to find the truth that was sitting there the whole time. Bags are clean, she says. Clear as a bell. And that should be the period. But Ethan hears the crowd and the cameras and pulls the last thread on his own sweater. Then I'll make a citizen's arrest, he declares, like the room is a stage, and I say, because a broken record is still a record. Sir, you did not witness a felony, you do not have that authority, and he reaches anyway and grabs my arm. Here's the part that felt like slow motion and a lightning strike at the same time. The grip warm and wrong, the collective inhale from strangers who understood in their bones that a line just got crossed, the single sharp click of something on Walsh's belt as he moved. Before the crowd could, I pulled my arm free because no is a full sentence too. Do not touch me. I said every syllable sitting up straight. That is assault. And Walsh took Ethan's wrists with the tired efficiency of a man who wishes he didn't have to be in the scene but knows his job. You're under arrest for assault and disturbing the peace. The cuffs clicked. Noah stepped back with hands up and excuses late to their own party. Park kept her pen moving. The crowd clapped once and then again. Not a parade, not a victory, just relief that someone with real authority remembered what authority is for, you know what I mean. Outside, the lights still washing the ceiling, I gave my statement with that calm you put on like armor when the world tries to play you small. Margaret lowered her phone and asked if I was okay. I said I was, which was mostly true. I was also furious in the old way, the kind that doesn't raise its voice because it saves its breath for writing the number of the right person at the right office on a piece of paper that will become 10 more papers. I drove home. My phone shook itself silly with missed calls from Chambers. Priya, my clerk, wrote in all caps, "Judge, please call me." I sat in the driveway and let the quiet be a blanket. The tote would wait. Dinner would be leftover pasta. Sleep would be a negotiation. By evening, the live stream did what live streams do. It ran through town like rumor with receipts. The local news said the words that changed how people framed what they'd seen. The woman in the Nordstrom incident is federal judge Vivian Marshall, and that revelation took the oxygen in the story and fed it like a bellows. Not because my position made what happened worse, because it made the hypocrisy impossible to ignore. The phones didn't stop. Courthouse security called then the U.S. Marshals, then civil rights at DOJ Special Agent Julian Park, rolled into the mall with a team that knows how to put a day in a box. They pulled CCTV, took witness statements, pulled the contractor's complaint history, and found a songbook full of suspicious patterns that read like someone copied and pasted bias into a form and pressed Submit for years. Ethan stewed. Noah cried at home and tried to make his part smaller than it was. The contractor called it, isolated and rebranded with a new website before the old one cooled. The mall's general manager apologized with a lawyer on each shoulder. 3 days later, those two men stood in a room where there are microphones you can't see and a clock that doesn't lie. They wore suits that made them look like someone else's funeral, and I wore the same black robes I wear when the record is all that matters. And for the part of you wondering whether I should have been anywhere near their case, let me put it on the table right now so we don't leave it to the comment section. To guess I did not preside over their trial, Judge Eleanor Graves handled the pretrial motions, the evidentiary fights, the jury, all of it. I recused from those stages because the ground must hold after the jury came back guilty on every count: deprivation of rights under color of law, conspiracy assault. Judge Graves certified in writing that me handling sentencing within the guidelines would not prejudice the record, or the defendants given the law, the facts, and the videotape the whole country had already seen. The defense objected as they should. And the circuit will weigh in if they choose to appeal. That's how you build guardrails, so the truck may not like the lane, but it still stays on the road. The jury heard Margaret describe the moment she hit record and why she kept it running even when the room got hot. They watched overhead angles that missed the small thefts and caught the big lie. They heard David speak in that soft steel voice about the difference between instinct and accusation. They heard Officer Jennifer Park testify that my bag was clean and that the only thing loud in that store was Ethan's pride. And they heard Sergeant Walsh say out loud, what too many people forget: restraint is not nothing. Restraint is a decision, it is an action. And then I did something I almost never do. I testified as a witness. While Judge Graves took my chair, I sat under oath and said the quiet parts with a steady mouth. I felt small in a place where I should not have felt small. I felt angry. The way anger sits down in your stomach and won't leave. I felt embarrassed for something I did not do. And I knew exactly what was happening as it happened, because I see it in black and white every week. The only difference this time was that the caption at the top had my name in it. Sentencing day didn't feel like TV. It felt like a church basement where people put folding chairs in a circle and tell the truth. We had letters from their families. Good letters. Neighbors who said Ethan shovels snow for old folks. A teacher who said Noah once walked a kid across a busy road when the crossing guard was late. I read every word because humanity is the only reason I ever took this job. Then I looked at the moment where mistake became choice, and I found it. It was the second after the clean bag, when Ethan decided the absence of evidence wasn't a problem to solve. It was an obstacle to shove past. It was the moment he chose a story over a person. I told them both what the law requires me to say, and what the human in me needed them to hear. You are not standing here because of a misunderstanding. I said you are here because you made decisions that stripped a woman of her dignity in public without evidence under color of authority you did not possess. And because you doubled down when the truth was right in front of you, I imposed sentences inside the guideline range with enhancements for acting under color of law and for the public harm years, not months long enough to say to every break room in every mall that this is not a box. You can check and forget long enough to reach people who haven't put on a uniform yet and still believe a hunch is the same as proof. Was it satisfying? The internet says yes. My grandmother's voice in my head says, satisfaction is the wrong word. Accountability tastes cleaner in your mouth. But I will tell you this, when I walked down the courthouse steps that afternoon, the air felt like someone had opened a window in a stale room. And that counts even if no one writes it in the order, yeah, that happened. The dominoes fell. The way dominoes do when the camera is not your friend. The mall settled and then watched anchor tenants pack. The security contractor got new ownership and real training. That doesn't end with a quiz you can pass with vibes. Stores shifted first contact to associates with iPads and smiles, instead of security with radios. And suspicion. The city tied private security licensing to de-escalation hours and bias training that actually costs time and money. Law schools asked for the video for case studies. Civil rights groups updated their playbooks to show exactly how fast a live stream can protect a stranger when institutions drag their feet. Margaret got flooded with messages, some ugly because the internet is the internet. Many grateful because courage is contagious. When you can press share, and my daughter, the one I wanted the bag for, graduated into a world that is still messy, but at least understands that the oldest story in the book is not sacred. It can be edited with a steady hand and a working camera. People ask if Ethan and Noah are monsters, and I tell them no because monsters are easy to spot. And that's why we love horror movies. The truth is harder. A uniform can be a mirror. And when you practice in front of it long enough, it starts telling you what you want to hear. And then one day the mirror breaks and you see the person you were talking over the whole time, and it might be too late to learn their name, you know what I mean? One more thing, and I'll leave it open for you because I want to hear what you think. Should I have been anywhere near their final chapter? Should a judge who was the target of a crime be allowed to impose sentence if the law says it's clean and the record has guardrails? Or should she step back entirely and let a colleague close the circle so no one can say bias sat in the chair? We argued that question on paper, the way the system argues with itself when it's healthy. We left an appealable record for people who disagree with me to have a real shot. I can live with that. I can live with people questioning me, if it means the questions lift us higher than our fear. Because if justice is only the parts we all agree on, it isn't justice, it's weather, and we're not in the weather business, we build roofs. If you stayed with me all the way through, tell me where you're watching from and what you've seen. When does a hunch become harm in your town? Have you watched a room tilt because of a story someone brought from home and laid on a stranger's shoulders? Do you think we got this right or got it wrong or got it right for the wrong reasons? Drop your thoughts, push back. If you need to share the time you pulled out your phone because your gut said, "This needs light," hit subscribe. If you want more stories told, the way they felt when they happened, not the way they sound in a press release, tap, like so this reaches someone who might need the words ready when the moment arrives. And if you learned anything, say it out loud in the comments so the next person knows they aren't the only one carrying it.